This is KGW News at noon.
No doubt, areas for improvement will be identified, and there will be lessons for all of us to learn. But for now, our focus, my focus, is on stopping this virus and saving lives.
That's the reaction from the director of the World Health Organization after President Trump announced he's cutting millions of dollars in aid to the agency. The president accuses the WHO of mismanaging and covering up the spread of the coronavirus. Thank you for joining us. I'm Brenda Braxton. All of this comes as cases worldwide today surpass 2 million. Here's Tracy Potts with the details.
Millions on hold. President Trump claims the World Health Organization did not warn early enough about COVID-19.
Barely mismanaging and covering up the spread of the coronavirus. The WHO failed in this basic duty and must be held accountable.
Critics accuse him of passing the buck.
Cutting back funding to the WHO in the midst of a global pandemic is nothing short of insanity.
The U.S. provides 15% of WHO's budget, nearly $60 million, plus more for special projects. It comes as the Washington Post reveals draft guidance from the CDC and the Federal Emergency Management Agency on reopening schools, childcare, summer camps, churches, and restaurants by May 1st.
The day will be very close because certain states, as you know, are in much different condition and in a much different place than other states.
The president now pushing a phased-in approach with different dates for each state, backing off his claim of total authority.
The best way, I'm talking now from a managerial standpoint, is to let individual governors run individual states and come to us if they have difficulty, and we will help them.
He's set to teleconference with governors tomorrow.
The states seem to have their act together much more than the administration.
Meantime, stimulus checks for 80 million Americans are expected to hit bank accounts today. Tracy Potts, NBC News.
So if you don't get your stimulus payment today, there is a way to track it. The IRS launched an online tool called Get My Payment. It lets you check the status of your payment and find out when it'll be deposited into your bank account or mailed to you. For the majority of people, these payments will just show up automatically. This includes people who receive Social Security and disability benefits. Now, once you get your money, the IRS will mail you a letter within 15 days saying how the payment was made and how to file a report if you didn't get it. The IRS says its payment tracker has been absolutely overwhelmed by the amount of people trying to use it, so it asks that you be patient. Well, the feds are bailing out some of the nation's biggest airlines. They reached a tentative deal on a $25 billion package to pay airline workers and keep them employed through September. The pandemic has really hit the airline industry hard, and airports all around the country are seeing a drastic drop in passengers. We've been tracking local coronavirus cases every single day here on KGW, so we want to bring you up to speed on the latest numbers. More than 1,600 Oregonians are infected. So far, more than 32,000 have been tested, and 55 people have died. Washington has more than 10,000 cases and 546 deaths. This afternoon, Governor Jay Inslee will update Washington's COVID-19 response. He'll hold a press conference at 3 o'clock. The virus is spreading in prisons. Despite that, Oregon will not release any inmates, at least not right now. Governor Brown made the decision even after the Department of Corrections identified thousands of prisoners eligible for early release. At least 13 inmates and correction staff have tested positive for the virus statewide. Meanwhile, Governor Inslee said Washington will release almost 1,000 inmates.
Since there is nothing being done as far as sporting events or gatherings, a better use of our time was to divert us to doing something to help the community.
Since TriMet ridership is down, some employees are shifting their job responsibilities to transport food. Catherine Cook explains.
During the COVID-19 crisis, things look different. Rush hour, gone. Even TriMet has fewer riders as people stay home. But unchanged is our need to eat. So TriMet is taking some of its employees and putting them to work elsewhere, packing and delivering meals for Meals on Wheels.
To meet a lot of our customers where they live and to be able to show a different side of TriMet is a lot of fun.
Damian Samuelson works with on-street customer service for TriMet. You'll find him helping on the platforms after Blazers games and other big events.
Since there is nothing being done as far as sporting events or gatherings, a better use of our time was to divert us to doing something to help the community.
Meals on Wheels makes and delivers 8,000 meals a day across the Portland metro area. The organization says over the last month, their requests have skyrocketed, along with the need for help. For the next month, Damien and 6 other TriMet employees will work 8 hours a day, delivering meals and doing wellness checks on those who receive them on TriMet's dime. They'll wear gloves, masks, and stay 6 feet away, but are always ready to connect and listen.
Talk to somebody about some interesting things that had happened to them earlier in the day. And sometimes just being a listening ear is all they really need. It's just as important as having food.
And while this is just a temporary job assignment, for Damien, it's also an opportunity to showcase what happens every day with Meals on Wheels and the countless volunteers who make it happen.
So much of it is volunteer work. A bunch of those folks are not getting paid to do what they do. They just do it out of the kindness of their heart.
Due to their increased demand for food, Meals on Wheels is incurring unprecedented costs right now. If you'd like to make a financial donation, you can do so by just going to the link on KGW.com. Catherine Cook, KGW News.
In other news, officials are looking into this apartment fire that injured one person in Northeast Portland this morning. It happened around 6:30 at Prescott Terrace Apartments. That's on 57th and Prescott. A man who lives nearby told us he heard an explosion.
A large explosion, and then shaking bottles and battered doors type thing, like a window sort of cracking and the wall sort of moving, muffled explosion.
We don't know the cause of the fire yet, but we are expecting to get an update from Portland Fire and Rescue a little later today.
Joe Biden will lead a government that works for the American people. And now it's up to all of us to help make Joe Biden the next president of the United States.
Elizabeth Warren is the latest Democrat to endorse Joe Biden for president. The Massachusetts senator posted that video on Twitter this morning backing her former rival for the Democratic nomination. Warren said Biden has spent almost his entire life in public service, and America needs an empathetic person like him to help Americans reconnect with the federal government.